A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ English, your favorite UPSC platform. Welcome to today's Hindu news analysis session with me. I'm Soumya, and like every day, let's discuss all the UPSC relevant, exam oriented articles from the Hindu newspaper, New Delhi edition for today. And today is 25th September 2025. So let's see which articles do we have for consideration. A very good morning, order. A very good morning, Sakshi. Glad to see you today morning. So here I have about 9 articles for you that we shall be analyzing for the UPSC exam. The first 2 articles are editorial articles, which means we will collect some inputs for the mains answer writing from here. The remaining articles are quick reads. Let's take most important facts from them for the prelims exam, in fact, okay? And now also yesterday I had confirmed with the backend team and all the PDFs until 24th September have been updated. Today I will also be updating the 25th PDF. So you will have everyday compilation. And as we had discussed earlier, I will also bring you the list of all the important court cases and all the important government newses in the government policies and schemes in the news. Let me compile it every 10 days. So thrice a month, I shall also be sharing that PDF with you. Okay. A very, very good morning, Manav. Very good morning, Saurav. Good morning, Rishi, Dipesh. Good morning, SM. Very good morning, everyone. So let's get going with the agenda now. The first article on your screen. This is for UPSC mains editorial page, article page number 10. India's muted voice, its detachment with Palestine. Very good morning, Ram. Now, this article has been written by none other than the chairperson of Congress Parliamentary Party. So, the article has been written by Miss Sonia Gandhi herself. This is the second time we are analyzing an article written by her in the last 1 month. So, what does she say about the article? Very good morning, Junior. Very good morning, Vikash, and very good morning, Badru. This article is talking about how right now the United Nations General Assembly meeting is going on. We all know the meeting is going on in the New York City in America. And we also know that President Trump has been very, very clear about his idea. 3 agendas are dominating the United Nations Summit this time. One agenda clearly is the agenda against Russia, the war of Russia-Ukraine. Second is about how majority of countries, about 150 countries, out of the total 193 member states of the United Nations have already acknowledged and officially recognized Palestine as a separate country. Third agenda is about sanctions and tariffs on countries like India, China, Brazil, and many countries of the European Union as they continue to deal with Russia, a key enemy of the America. So these are the 3 ideologies at the summit. Now, article Miss Sonia Gandhi starts by saying how 2 days before France has joined. France has joined the group of countries like UK, Canada, Portugal, Australia. All these countries have now together formally recognized Palestine, a demand that Palestine has been making since the 1980s. Today, all these countries have formally recognized Palestine as the revenge action against Israel's constant attack in the Gaza, constant genocide in the region. So, this is the big news that France, along with America, France, UK, Canada, Portugal, Australia, all the countries are ready to recognize Palestine statehood now. And the number is 150. So 150 plus countries out of the total 193 recognized United Nations countries have readily recognized Palestine. America is unhappy about it because America is a key ally of Israel. Even Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been constantly threatening. He says, I'm very unhappy with this development. So many countries are acknowledging Palestine statehood, which means that countries are not ready to understand that Hamas is the key enemy for Israel. All of this started long back. It started long back on 7th October 2023 was when the current war actually began. It was 7th October 2023 that Hamas militant group had attacked a music party going on in Israel. Many civilians were killed on spot and many were taken as hostages by Hamas. Some of them are still with Hamas. This was reacted to very badly by Israel. Israel said, "We will not leave a single person behind the cowardly attack on our citizens." Israel responded, and now 2 years are over, but the war is still going on. There has been a widespread devastation done by Israel on Gaza, and Israel has been backed by President Trump this time. So, not only has Israel been taking a revenge against Hamas, the Palestinians, but at the same time, it also has been attacking countries like Iran and countries like Qatar, saying that all these countries are supporting the Hamas terrorist organization. So, this today is a major agenda across the world. Majority countries recognizing Palestine, but America and Israel refusing to do that. So, what is India's position? India as a country has always believed in the non alignment movement right from the times of Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. Even today, as India's External Affairs Minister Sri Jai Shankar says, India will still continue with agenda of peace, a clear war on terrorism, and its non-alignment policy. Even today, India will not support either America or Russia blindly. India will do what is good for the world peace. So therefore, India was one country which had already recognized Palestine in 1998 after the demands from Palestine Liberation Organization for a separate statehood for Palestine. India had already recognized back in 1988. But it doesn't mean that India did not support Israel. India did very openly criticize the attack done by Hamas on 7th October 2023. India said it was not good. It was extremely cowardly for Hamas to come and kill innocent women, children at Israelis' music festival. It was not a good thing to do. At the same time, although India has only increased its defense, energy, and military ties with Israel, India has also supported educational, healthcare, humanitarian aid in Palestine. So India has no enemy and India has no close friend. Despite the close relationship between Prime Minister Shri Modi and Mr. Netanyahu, India believes that we do not believe in permanent enemies and permanent friends. We believe in what is right. Righteousness dominates. Let's remember India is one country which has a historical role to play when it comes to global justice. India, before its own independence, was openly criticizing the apartheid, the racial crime in South Africa. Right from the times of the Tolstoy form created by Mahatma Gandhi, India has supported the freedom of South Africa. India has supported the the Black Lives Matter movement right from the times of British apartheid and racial crime in South Africa. India also was supporting anti-colonial movement of various countries, for example, Algeria. India openly supported Algeria right from 1954 until 1962. India gave a strong support to Algerian independence. During the time of Vietnam War, India opposed foreign crimes in Vietnam. India was one of the largest supporters when it came to the 1971 Bangladesh creation during the times of Indo-Pak War. Led by Srimati Indira Gandhi, India was supporting the movement of freedom from Pakistan towards Bangladesh. And India did win the war. At the same time, today India becomes one of the largest contributors to the United Nations peacekeeping forces across the world. Not only in sub-Saharan African Sahel countries, which are ridden with violence, but also across the Gaza border, India is a major contributor to the UN peacekeeping forces. Apart from that, India's own constitution, Directive Principles of State Policy, the DPSP, Article 51 says promoting international peace and security is something that Indian government has to work towards. So, our own constitution, under Directive Principles of State Policy, Article 51, supports global peace and cooperation. Cooperation plus international peace. So, therefore, today, as the West Asia is grappling with an ongoing war since 2023, as Israel refuses to talk about the two-state solution, Israel is holding Palestine as a terror country. Israel believes Palestine Liberation Organization is nothing but another face of terror attack, and nobody in the world should support Palestine. But the world thinks otherwise. Recently, United Nations had declared genocide and humanitarian crisis in the area of Gaza. But Israel refused to listen. Many countries, including Saudi Arabia, including Egypt, were constantly trying to negotiate between Israel and Palestine, Abraham Accords, Oslo Accords, but to no help. Israel continues to believe that there is no peaceful coexistence with Palestinian terror, and at the same time, majority countries across the world are having a wave of sympathy towards Palestine. They are unhappy to see the fact that since 2023, in Palestine, more than 70,000 civilians have been killed recklessly. Among them, many happen to be young children and pregnant women. So the world community is unhappy. Countries like United Kingdom, who once supported the Balfour Declaration, who once supported the creation of Israel, are today against Israel because they strongly believe Israel has to cooperate. The West Asia war cannot continue forever. Today, India's position is also that of balancing its foreign policy. Today, India is one country which consistently supports peace in Palestine. Not only the fact that we acknowledged Palestine's existence in 1988, but even today, India supports the two-state solution. India has criticized the ongoing attacks on the innocent women and children there. India supports multilateral forums like United Nations and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. India has an observer status at the OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation Countries. Apart from that, India, as a member of United Nations, warns that the war should end now. Although India maintains a very deep diplomatic ties with Israel since 1992 across defense, technology, AI, and military, but still India wants Israel to think about the two-state solution. India also believes in giving humanitarian aid to people who are impacted by the war in Gaza and the West Bank region. So therefore, India's diplomacy is very, very balanced. And despite that, many countries are criticizing India today. Why? Because now that the genocide and humanitarian crisis in Palestine has reached another level of horrification, it's just very, very bad. Countries are expecting India to be more supportive of Palestine. There are some countries who are pointing out to the fact that since 2023, the war by Israel on Hamas started. In the process, about 17,000 children have become handicapped, who have no medical aid. Heart-rending images on the newspaper show how young newborn babies have nothing, not even a drop of milk to drink. They are dying into skeleton and bones. So today it becomes a moral responsibility for India to more openly support United Nations resolution against Israel. In light with India's own non-alignment movement, India has to be more vocal about Palestine. Now, even if it matters, disengaging with Israel, even if it involves some disengagement with Israel in terms of agriculture partnership, in terms of technology partnership, that's okay. But India has to a little bit take one side today, because you cannot let people die for no reason, and you cannot just sit on the fence and maintain your diplomacy. That's what the writer of the article feels. She has appreciated India for balancing a wonderful diplomacy between Palestine and Israel, but today she is also saying that India is under moral obligation as the voice of the global south, as a country who has always stood for global peace and justice. In line with our directive principle of state policy, Article 51, perhaps today is the time when India has to out and out support liberation, recognition of Palestine, which also means encouraging, forcing, criticizing Israel at any cost that might be involved. So that's the pitch of the article here. Okay, now this article might be subject to multiple interpretations, but as I always say, it doesn't matter whether the opposition leader is writing the article or whether a minister of parliament is writing the article. We need to understand the controversy from a very exam centric viewpoint. We need to know the affairs, the historical background, and we also need to have a very balanced opinion. Okay, so this is what's going on. And the writer of the article feels India needs to have a more strong criticism against Israel. That's the pitch of the article. Okay, a very good morning there, Vikash Pranarthi. Yes, Ramu, absolutely. So India has to have a stronger voice against that. That's very, very true. So now let's have a look at the question. If you have understood the article, it shall be an easy question for you. Look at the following statements regarding India's position on Palestine. One, India was among the first countries to recognize the PLO as the sole representative of Palestinian people in 1974. Two, India officially recognized the state of Palestine in 1988, much before establishing complete diplomatic ties with Israel. And three, India is a full member, a full term member of the OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which actively supports the Palestinian cause. Dipesh is already giving the answer now. An absolutely valid answer. Well done, Dipesh, being the first one to answer the question. Yes, it should be A. Absolutely. Because India is not a full time member of OIC. India has an observer status at the OIC. That's what I also mentioned while talking about the article. Very good morning, Gayatri. That's true because Brazil is also a major voice of the global south. Now, India has started becoming very active in the G20 ever since India presided over the summit. That's back in 2023. But before that, usually it was countries like Brazil who were viewed as the voice of global south. Today, India is definitely taking that position. Besides, India and Brazil have very similar goals also. Both are developing countries. Both are dealing with social income inequality. Okay, both are dealing with issues like crimes, gender empowerment, and both are facing America's anger about high rate of tariff. So yes, there is much in common between the countries. Absolutely, the third statement is invalid. So well done there. Ramu, Saurav, everybody, that's the valid answer. Well done. Second article, once again, editorial page, my dear. This is about health and nutrition. So I will map this to GS paper 3. Health, nutrition, longevity, lifespan, all these are the topics covered by the article. So GS paper 3, UPSC. Article is saying just a pinch of salt can reduce India's salt overload. The article is pointing out to a very, very understated and neglected problem in India's health policy. You might have heard every day, we all talk about the expanding burden of non communicable diseases. The article is saying in India in 2025, as per the recent data, 60% of deaths that are happening under the age of 65 are happening because of NCD, non communicable disease, including cancers, cardiovascular, neuropathic disorders, hypertension, insulin resistance, diabetes. These are the leading causes of deaths, premature deaths in India. The reason is that we always talk about eating extra sugar, extra carbohydrates, extra oils and trans fats. But majority of people fail to understand salt, cooking salt, sodium chloride is the basic reason behind many, many non-communicable diseases because it is an extra intake of salt in Indian diet, in junk food, in fast food, in processed food that is creating the problem of absolutely hypertension, blood pressure, high blood pressure. And that is a leading cause of heart diseases. That's a leading cause of insulin resistance in India. And that is something people fail to understand. So we often talk about the Green Revolution and how Green Revolution created a dependence on cereal crops like rye and wheat. Today, we are requesting our government to start giving more minimum support price on pulses, fruits, and vegetables. We all understand after the Poshan Abhiyan started in India, Eat Right movement, that if we have to solve the problem of India's healthcare system, we have to understand that gone are the days. It is past that we were working towards solving the hunger problem. India is not hungry anymore as such. Less than 7% people are experiencing chronic hunger. The problem is not hunger. The problem is malnourishment, which is known as hidden hunger. Hidden hunger. So we need to understand Indian population is getting calorie intake, but that calorie intake is unhealthy. It is either carbohydrate based or salt intake is too much, and that's what the article is trying to say. Let us remove our focus only from carbs, sugars, and let us also focus on the problem of a very high salt intake. Absolutely, Ramu, absolutely, Dipesh, an order that causes the problem of blood pressure, hypertension, cardiovascular issues like excessive blockage of the arteries in the heart. Absolutely. So, India is experiencing a new pandemic, and this pandemic is non communicable disease. As I said, hypertension is a leading cause of kidney failure. Kidney failure is once again a rising problem in countries like Singapore, Shanghai, India. Many countries of South Asia are experiencing a high burden of kidney failure. Reason? High salt intake, chronic hypertension, and high blood pressure. It is also linked to high levels of obesity, fat. While in India, health policies keep talking about sugar and extra oil and fat consumption, too much salt intake has never been given importance in our policy making. It is always an under discussed issue. So, this article is talking about, as Ramu has already said, the problem of HPSS, HFSS. What is HFSS? HFSS stands for high fat, sugar, and salt oriented diets. Article is asking an average global citizen, an average global citizen of the world created under the limits given by World Health Organization should consume either 5 or less than 5 grams of salt per day. But in India, the reality is very different because an average Indian is consuming about 8 to 12 grams daily. This is double, in fact, more than double the limit allowed by World Health Organization towards a safe intake of salt. So what are the exclusive problems of India? Problem number 1. In India, major source of food is home food. It's a good thing that majority of Indians continue to still eat traditional diet. But the problem here is that there is a recent understanding among Indians that pink salt, Himalayan salt, sea salt, rock salt, black salt, all these are much healthier as compared to the market sold commercial salt. But the real problem is in terms of sodium intake, these fancy salts from pink to black, from sea to Himalayan, people believe they are so safe that people use an extra amount of them in their home cooked foods. That means even though we believe that we are eating a homemade food, our salt intake is still very, very high. Yes, very good. Absolutely. It comes from the Pakistan region, the pink salt. Yeah, true. So, but people believe that these are very healthy alternatives. And therefore, our fad behind all these fancy colored salts has also led to an increased intake of sodium in our diet. Second problem is as people are running behind these fancy salts, red salt, pink salt, all that, we don't understand that these salts are natural salts, but they also lack in iodine. While the commercial salt available in the market is enriched with iodine. Therefore, once again, many people are facing the risk of iodine deficiency. Iodine deficiency. Sometimes these salts that we are using, as you're saying, Dipesh, oh, what a valuable comment you have given. I was about to say that, Dipesh. Today, another problem is that people in their fad behind pink, black, red, all kind of salts are also not understanding that many of these salts, they may be looking very natural, but they are raw in nature. Sometimes they aren't even cleaned properly. So people may be consuming some kind of a metallic contamination in the form of salt. That can also lead to kidney disorders and kidney stones. At the same time, we are taking too much sodium. Plus, we are avoiding the market salts, which are rich in iodine. So that also could create a problem of future iodine deficiency among Indians once again. At the same time, what we fail to understand is that Indian diet traditionally also includes things like pickles, chutneys, papads, which is actually digestive, but an overconsumption of this, assuming that they are all using natural salts, could be dangerous in the long run. So either way, it is dangerous. If you consume the processed market salt too much, then also it leads to over intake of sodium. But if you start only depending on raw and fancy and organic salts, believing that they are completely safe, even there, either it's not clean, or there also you may end up consuming too much sodium. Plus, you are ignoring the intake of iodine. That's an additional danger. Why do we eat extra salt and what is it doing to our bodies? One problem is that it is linked directly to hypertension among 28% of India's adult population above the age of 18 is experiencing today hypertension, which means 220 million people in India right now are a victim of hypertension, high blood pressure problem, chronic high blood pressure. The shocking reality is about 40% of them are still under the age of 40. So 18 to 40 years is a bracket that experiences majority of hypertension problems. And this is very, very dangerous. At the same time, hypertension directly leads to kidney disease, heart disease, stroke, and paralysis, adding to the burden of non communicable disease. According to the World Health Organization, every dollar one spent, every dollar one that you spent on your food determines $12 that you will spend on your healthcare. Which means if I spend that $1 on buying processed, packaged, and junk food, salty food, sugary food, I may have to spend an extra $12. Total, I'm wasting $13. Because now I will have to buy medicines and go for medical checkups or whatever. But if I choose to spend this $1 on my food wisely, I may save this $12 expenditure, or I may spend it on healthier things like supplements rather than going behind medical examinations and procedures. So $1 translates to $12 according to estimation done by World Health Organization. Okay, so you have to spend on food very smartly. In India, the problem is labeling and awareness about labeling. Despite the fact that today people, at least urban population, has become a little more aware about looking at the expiry dates, looking at the amount of sugar and saturated fat. Still, there is a lack of awareness about reading labels which say high food products, particularly in packaged foods and junk foods. There is a lot of trans fat and salt added. Unfortunately, school meals, Anganwadi meals, hospital meals also are adding an extra salt amount that is beyond the limit allowed by the World Health Organization. The restaurants and cafes are anyway selling salty food so that the consumers find it delicious and they consume it more. So we are catering to the taste buds. We are not understanding the harm it does to the body in the long run. Now, at the same time, in India, we really need to understand that in eating bitter salt and organic salt, eating homemade chutneys and papads may not necessarily be good for the health. Over a period of time, that may also lead to excess salt consumption, and we do not realize when we cross the limit exactly. What's the solution? As you were mentioning right now, Ramu, we have a concept called HFSS, high fat, salt, and sugar food. Today, every packaged food in India needs this kind of a labeling to be made compulsory. The government has to make sure that HFSS warning has to be there, not only in the packaged foods, but also in the ingredients that are being sold in the market. We need to understand that warning labels are not only about nutritional information, but warning labels are also about encouraging children, pregnant women, elderly population to understand whatever they are eating will impact their body in the long run. We should tell the industries who are making packaged foods that you can allow more herbs and spices in the food, but you have to reduce your salt content whatsoever it be. And at the same time, we have also seen that in infant formulas, in the milk products, food products of children under 1 year age, there also there is a high level of sugar and salt. So we must understand that also, that in India, the target is to control 30% salt intake reduction by 2030. This is one target India has adopted under India's National Multi-Sectoral Action Plan. So this is the target. Controlling 30% salt intake by 2030. That's a key target under National Multi-Sectoral Action Plan 2017 to 2022. Why did India adopt this initiative? India adopted this initiative after the World Health Organization's larger agenda called NCD Monitoring Framework, Non-Communicable Disease Monitoring Framework 2013 to 25. This has made it compulsory for many countries to control salt reduction, tobacco abuse, obesity prevention. And India as a member, and India as one of the leading economies of the global south, has also therefore enacted National Multi-Sectoral Action Plan. What are the objectives of this initiative? One objective is to control the burden of non-communicable disease in India by 2025. Another is to reduce 30% salt consumption by 2025, removing 30% tobacco control. Tobacco abuse has to be controlled by 30% by 2025. Similarly, stop the increase of diabetes and obesity among young population. 10% reduction should be there in lifestyle diseases that happens because of lack of physical activity among people, and 25% comparative reduction in high blood pressure, hypertension, premature mortality. In India, many people die premature. As I said, majority victims of hypertension are from the age of 18 to 40, so which leads to early deaths. Once again, it's a wastage of India's vast human resource potential. As a country which really wants to spend up to 4 or 5% on GDP by 2030 only in healthcare, we also need to reduce young people dying, premature mortality by NCDs, which is currently 60% in India. Also, we need to reduce that by 2025 year end. So this broadly is the National Multi-Sectoral Action Plan, and India, being a key supporter of this agenda, today has to create a compulsory labeling on all the food products about HFSS warning, high fat, sugar, and salty foods. So that's what the article is trying to say. Absolutely, Ramu. We can enhance flavor by adding herbs, spices, local ingredients. But definitely, we have to cut down on the salt. Now, another one very interesting thing before I go to the question. Thank you so much for reminding me, Ramu. That's a wonderful comment made by you. Many people believe that potassium based salts could be the alternative. But in reality, potassium based salts are also not safe in the long run. Even if they end up reducing your total sodium intake, they may tomorrow lead to calcification. They may add to kidney diseases in the long term, because that's also too much consumption of a raw metallic ingredient by the body. So we cannot have too much potassium oriented salts either. Either way, salt will harm, whether it's sodium chloride based or potassium based, whether it's pink, Himalayan, sea, black, or whether it's the normal commercial salt. The solution is to balance the intake by understanding that if WHO is saying the allowed limit is less than 5 grams per day, we have to adhere to that. Okay, so let's look at the question. Dipesh and Saurav have already answered the question. Consider the following statements regarding India's salt consumption strategy. 1. According to scientific data, Indian adults consume twice the WHO recommended daily salt intake. That's correct, absolutely. Because WHO says less than 5 and Indians consume 8 to 12. Second, the National Multi-Sectoral Action Plan identified salt reduction as one of its priorities in controlling the NCD burden. And 3, replacing sodium-based salt with potassium-based salt is universally safe and recommended for all, including those with a kidney disorder. Are all the statements here correct? Are potassium based salts safe for those with kidney based disorders? Are they completely safe for them? Universally, they are safe among all the patients? That's a question we are left with. First two, easy. Yes, they are correct. Absolutely. What about the third statement? Isn't that a confusing statement? Can I request you to investigate a little bit more about this statement? Can we have a more awareness on this? Whether potassium based salt substitutes are absolutely safe for human consumption, including those with comorbidities like the kidney disorder? Yes or no? Let's keep the thought on. Let's think, investigate, and then find the answer. But I don't want the right answer only. I'm so happy when you participate and give me the answer. But more than giving me the answer, I want you to tell me the reason. Tell me the reason, please. Is potassium based salt completely safe? If no, why? What dangers can happen if we completely switch to potassium based salts? Are they not safe for the body, especially those with kidney disorders? Kindly enlighten the whole community. I would want to hear on that. And then we will decide what's the final answer. Okay, well done, Dipesh, Order, Saurav. Thanks for answering. Next article is page number 11 because this article is about environment, climate, disaster mitigation. So I would peg this to GS paper 3 syllabus mapping because we are talking about climate mitigation, climate change. Exclusively, the article talks about flood management in India, monsoon prediction in India. We all know right from the times of grade 10th, if we are a CBSE student, we have studied the NCRT. And NCRT says, in India, southwest monsoon is the main source of rainwater from the months of June to September. We receive our majority rainfall from southwest monsoon. But we also know our southwest monsoon is very unpredictable. We also know our Indian agriculture. While India still has 60%, more than 60% people who depend on agriculture as their main livelihood. Indian agriculture is disproportionately dependent on monsoon, southwest monsoon. But the monsoon is unpredictable. But in India, even today, we still believe in age old data. We believe in measuring calendar wise that in which month how much rain shall we receive. We always look at the trend according to the prediction cycle that in June how much rain we will receive, in July, in August, and how much shall the total rainfall output will be. And accordingly, we make our agriculture policies. But the writer of the article says it is not the right strategy because today we are living in the times of global warming and climate change. Rainfall patterns are also getting every year impacted by global weather phenomena like El Nino, La Nina. In 2024, India had a pathetic monsoon. Monsoon was delayed, monsoon was poor. 2025, we have had an excessive rainfall. States like Punjab, Uttarakhand, Himachal, Kashmir are still grappling with heavy rainfall. Even places like Chennai have started experiencing the problem of flash flooding. So in India, monsoons are becoming way more unpredictable each year, and we cannot let old ways of measuring decide our climate policies. So what should we do and what should change? Today we need a complete new method of understanding that let's not depend on calendar. What we need is to check how to handle flash floods, including urban flooding and agriculture runoff. That's the policy agenda. So despite every year, farmers, environmental groups, government departments preparing very well with the pre-monsoon predictions. We know how much monsoon is predicted, we start preparing for that. But Indian cities, including Chennai, including Gurugram recently, including Uttarakhand, Himachal, Sikkim, every year they are drowning in floods. There is a massive urban flooding problem. The water is causing a havoc in train connections, the water is causing a havoc in airport connectivity, the water is causing people stranded on the roads for hours altogether. Then it also creates complete road blockdown. Once the flood water starts drying up, it leads to breakout of diseases like cholera, typhoid. So it becomes an annual hassle to deal with. The problem is that we only measure rainfall in the terms of output of rainfall, the amount of quantity that we shall receive. What we fail to measure is timing, frequency, and intensity. So today we need a completely new approach which focuses on three things: timing, intensity, and frequency. The TIF measurement is the need of the hour. Only then we can do some proper city and urban planning, and only then can our infrastructure of the city adapt to the changing pattern of the rainfall. Okay? Now, look at the changing rainfall in India. 64% of tehsils in India have seen a heavy rainfall, increased rainfall. At the same time, Mumbai 2024, 135 millimeters of rain only in 24 hours. That was not even the peak monsoon season. Look what's happening in Punjab right now. And look what happened in Uttarakhand. Cloud bursts have become very common now. In Uttarakhand, Himachal, even in months like September, Delhi, Gurugram, completely drowning in water. And this is happening in September. Okay? This is happening in September when the monsoon starts falling weak. But this time it is only becoming more and more intense. I have already discussed about flash floods in one of my current affairs video, that we have a measurement for it. More than a certain amount of rainfall in a given area, in a matter of just few hours, classifies as a cloudburst. So this is the leading cause of flash floods today. But we cannot only blame the nature, we cannot only blame the changing climate. We have an outdated urban planning. For example, we believe in creating a drainage and a cleaning schedule depending on the predictions of June and July. We don't understand that now the pattern has changed. Rather than June and July, majority rainfall might come in August and September itself. We do not follow properly the IDF curves. Intensity, duration, frequency. They need to be updated every year, time to time. We have to see the past experiences and then redesign the model of IDF. We really need a better storm water drainage. Recently, UPSC has asked this question 2 times, one in essay and one in GS paper 2. What can India's urban policy learn from Indus Valley civilization? The one thing that we can learn is proper storm water drainage. In India's solid waste management policy rules 2016, we still lack proper storm water outlets. That means rainwater gets mixed up with the waste sewage water. This further creates over flooding of our drain outlets. The water naturally will come and flow on the roads then. So storm water drainage has to be handled by a separate government department, not only by the municipal corporations. Plastic and garbage, plastic waste management rules have also not been followed to the letter and spirit, because even today we experience a total blockage of our wastewater lines. Our sewages are also blocked because of plastic, polythenes, and garbage choking them up. What are the consequences of this kind of poor management? 8,700 rupees crore on an average has been getting wasted in damage of flood control. After the flood goes, the government is spending more than rupees 8,700 crore. In the last 2 decades, that's the amount of money that we have wasted in flood and post-flood management. Definitely electricity, transportation, communication, water, everything gets disrupted. Stagnant water, as I said, leads to malaria, the increased threat of dengue, chikungunya, cholera. All these disasters are common. Is there a solution? Absolutely. We need to go out of only measuring rainfall in the terms of one, its output, two, in the terms of monthly predictions. We need to work better on the IDF curves, intensity, duration, and frequency curves. We need to have, as you're saying, order. Satellite imagery can be utilized better to have a real time estimation of rainfall data. That will help us in doing better prediction. Today we are talking about artificial intelligence. Now the main reason of artificial intelligence is machine learning. What is machine learning? What is machine learning? When you use large language models. What are large language models? Large language models are huge data sets. Not only are you looking at the data for the past 10 years, you're looking at the data for the past 50 years together. It is that data from across the world which is examined in a matter of seconds by using machine learning. That's the beauty of learning and prediction by machines, artificial intelligence. We need to tap that and then have a clear-cut prediction about the IDF curve. What will be the intensity of rainfall? Which duration? Which month will receive the maximum? And how frequently will we have these phenomena of cloud bursts or excessive downpour? That can help. in preparedness and better urban planning. For example, if we further improve the width of our drains, if we increase the area of the wastewater drains in India for 120 millimeters extra rainfall capacity, that can prevent big time in urban flooding. So all this can be done if you have the right prediction with you. Similarly, the storm water management and the sewage sanitation departments have to sit and coordinate with one another to not only segregate but provide enough capacity in the drains for the water to flow out. Then IMD, the meteorological department experts can also create more joint cleaning drives. And a very good example case study can be Vijayawada's monsoons response system. Since the authorities in the city acted very quickly, improved the capacity of drains, created extra outlets on time. This year, Vijayawada was an excellent case study at preventing waterlogging in major areas of public space. Now, when you keep updating the IDF curve, the intensity, duration, and frequency curve every 5 to 10 years, in fact, even 2.5 years, by using AI and satellite imagery, you can ensure that our urban infrastructure is matching the climate demand. We know from before and we are prepared accordingly. We can design our drainage policy. Micro designs can be made for every area in the city based on the need, the topography, the geography of that city. Similarly, we can segregate the storm water from sanitation or dirty sewage water on time, further preventing various kind of diseases. So that's the pitch of the article here clearly, that urbanization can be sustainable only when you keep updating the IDF curves. The best solution is to use satellite data and integrate machine learning into it. The more advanced models you have, the better prediction you make. And then involve various departments of the government. Create a separate department for storm water management, and this way we can prevent the chaos of urban flooding that states like Punjab and Gurugram city has just experienced the last week. Okay? Absolutely. People still put waste into it. Absolutely. So we need a better drainage management metropolitan order. Absolutely. Okay, Dipesh. Yes, that's a wonderful thing to say. After the class, we can have that enlightenment. Absolutely. Very good morning, NSLAT. A very good morning, Prakash there. Okay. So the next article is a quick article. Now we have finished with the detailed ones. Let's do a prelims analysis quickly. How are courts protecting personality rights? Now, this is a raising issue right now. If you remember, there is a very famous actor in India, Rashmika Mandana. Quite few months before, she had also lodged a complaint. Somebody created a very disturbing deep fake video of the lady, and she obviously lodged a complaint. Similarly, of late, Bollywood actors like Aishwarya Rai, Abhishek Bachchan, director Karan Johar, in fact, for that matter, even the famous singer, all these people have been complaining repeatedly to the police. They have been filing complaints at the level of the courts, saying that their voice, their photos, their videos were deep faked by a technology that is used by using artificial intelligence. So their voice and their face was used for wrong information, something they haven't done at all. And this is an infringement of their personality rights. So what are personality rights? It's a new emerging concept. Personality rights are about an individual's name, individual's face, individual's voice, individual's signature, individual's any other kind of logo or brand that that individual is associating with. All these are unique to a person and hence they become personality rights. Under Indian Constitution, as per the recent interpretations of the Supreme Court judgments, personality right is absolutely related to Article 21. That means the right to life and dignity. Also, it relates to the right to privacy, the Puttaswamy judgment 2017. So, under Article 21, personality rights are also about your right to privacy. Nobody can take your face, voice, signature for doing some commercial propaganda without your permission, without your involvement. It is the same thing like commercially exploiting somebody's personality and privacy rights and therefore harassing them by taking away their fundamental right under Article 21. Absolutely. Deep fakes, yes. So, Personality rights are a set of rights under Article 21 that respect your right to privacy, that allow you as a human being to use your identity in public for commercial purpose, but with your own desire, with your own acknowledgement. Nobody else can do it for you. If somebody takes that away, if somebody kind of steals your name, face, voice, or signature, the court can issue punishment, injunctions, the court can issue damage, and the court can also order a social media platform to remove that immediately. Court will never allow that. Today, deep fakes, a technology created by generative AI, where it is very easy for programmers to create fake videos and funny, yet commercially very successful, artificially created, illogical videos of people. Remember, past few months back, we saw sudden, out of the blue, videos are coming where President Trump is being seen given a speech that he never gave, or dancing to a music that he never said he did actually. Various kind of illogical ads and advertisement to get more views, to become more clickbaitable. Now the problem is that sometimes these lead to identity theft of an individual. They lead to indignation and humiliation of that individual. It leads to defamation. And yesterday, in one of the articles in the Hindu, we saw how under India's constitution, the government says defamation is a civil and a criminal offense. You cannot insult somebody with a fake thing in mind. Similarly, taking somebody's personality right is about defaming somebody. But the problem is in India, we lack a parliamentary framework to tackle such problems. Because today, as of now, the problem of snatching personality rights is being dealt under various different laws and legislations. There is no single exclusive policy to deal with such personality right infringement. For example, there is a Copyright Act 1957 and there is a Section 38A, which says exclusive rights belong to dancers, performers, musicians of their own music, of their own style, of their own logos. Nobody can steal that. Section 38B says there is a moral right of the government to protect and prevent the misuse, distortion, mutilation of somebody else's personality right. Then you have the Trademarks Act 1999, which also says celebrities can register their name, phrases, taglines, logos, symbols, and they will be treated as their personal trademarks. Nobody else can use it for commercial purpose or for entertainment. All this is rooted in Article 21, the right to life and personal liberty and dignity, which says personality right and right to privacy, and the right to have your own trademark. All these are right to life under Article 21. So anybody who needs to use your trademark or your name or your face or your personality right in an advertisement, in a movie, in a propaganda, in a social media campaign has to take your permission first. Without taking consent, it will not be allowed and then it becomes a civil crime. Recent cases have said how the High Court of New Delhi has often intervened in the issue by saying that in today's times of AI, there are people such as Anil Kapoor, Jackie Shroff, Aishwarya Rai Bachchan, Abhishek Bachchan, Karan Johar. They have many times resorted to the court for obtaining protection against AI generated deep fakes and use of their name for selling products in the market. Similarly, the courts are clearly saying today, the Delhi High Court has made a clear verdict that it is okay to use somebody's name. It is okay to use somebody's photo for doing some kind of a comedy that's clean, for doing some kind of a parody, for entertainment, for satire. But you cannot use somebody's name, trademark, or signature for commercial exploitation. That you cannot do. So you cannot commercially use somebody's personality right. Although you can use it for lighter purposes like pure entertainment. Because pure entertainment like comedy, satire, joke, criticism are protected under the right to free speech and expression, Article 19(1). But when it starts getting used for commercial exploitation and money benefit, then it crosses the limit of Article 19(1)(a) and becomes a part of Article 19(2). There are limitations on that, on the freedom of free speech and expression. So you cannot commercially use somebody else's personality right. So what's the question here? The question is, consider the following statements regarding personality rights in India. 1. Personality rights protect an individual's name, image, voice, face another distinctive traits from unauthorized commercial use and are codified under a single law in India. 2. Indian courts have recognized that AI generated deep fake contents and cloning of voice without consent can violate personality rights. And 3. Commercial exploitation of a celebrity's personality without consent can be restrained by courts, while parodies, satire, criticism are allowed under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution, because that's right to freedom of speech and expression. Absolutely, there is a reasonable restriction to speech and expression under Article 19(2). So which of these statements do you think is or are valid? You can answer now, you can answer later. Dipesh and Order are already saying, and absolutely they are saying the right thing. Very well answered, absolutely well done. Yes, 2 and 3 statements are correct. B is the right answer. Very good, Ramu, because A is invalid. In India, we still lack a formal single codified parliamentary statute law, which can take care of all these issues regarding personality right infringement. Now, the next piece of news is a very quick one. 9 countries from Asia, 5 from America, some from the Caribbean, and 6 from Africa are meeting separately. In the sidelines of the main United Nations General Assembly meeting in New York in America. Very well answered. Very well answered, Ria. Okay. So this is all happening under the leadership and guidance of India, and it is being coordinated by our External Affairs Minister, Sri Jaishankar. So within the United Nations General Assembly Summit in the New York, India has separately invited, and India is separately meeting a set of countries called the 20 like-minded countries group. The 20 like-minded countries group. Now these are all the countries who have a similar aspiration, because they are a voice of the global south. So they are meeting side by side separately, because they are going to now talk about various issues such as the Israel-Palestine war. They are going to talk about the uniform agreement on changes that these countries want in the United Nations Security Council by making it more democratic and open to the global south. They are going to talk about the WTO, World Trade Organization's various protocols like Most Favored Nation Protocol that was broken by America. They will talk about better trade and bilateral relationship. And they will also talk about the recognition of Palestine as the key dominating agenda here. This is the first of its own kind meeting where, alongside the major United Nations General Assembly setup, these countries, total 20 in number, are specially hosting a summit for like-minded global south countries to further formalize the agenda of global south against the out-and-out domination and monopoly that's being done by America, Russia, and some countries of the EU, even China there. So, Sri Jaishankar said that the world today has to come together when it comes to the problems being faced by the G20 countries. It could be the pandemics, it could be about the Ukraine-Russia conflict, it could be about climate change and new carbon markets that India is going to introduce in 2026. It could be about food insecurity. It could be about solving the problem of global terrorism. The global south has to come together. And therefore, yes, this is a side-by-side meeting that's happening along with the United Nations General Assembly Summit. So it's a wonderful thing. Once again proves that India is a leader of the global south, which we have been since 2023. Now, the next news is about how the central government, the union government, has given permission to a scheme which will now increase the number of medical seats across India. That means 5,000 postgraduate and 5,023 undergraduate medical seats will be added to existing medical colleges. Why is this being done? Because under the World Health Organization, it is important that across all the countries, 1,000 patients should have one doctor to attend them. But in India, we have already discussed in the last few days, the burden on primary health care is too high. The doctors are also getting exhausted, and the doctor-patient ratio, rather than being 1:1,000 in India, sometimes it's crossing even 1,200 in certain rural remote areas. At the same time, we also understand that in India, we lack access to overall medical care, especially secondary and tertiary health. So, with that in mind, today the government is only going to increase the number of medical seats. If we have more doctors tomorrow, it is much better for us. Not only will our doctor patient ratio improve, but also many doctors and many young medical students can be encouraged to go to the rural area and do on ground service, so that many of them are motivated to join the government hospitals. As you are saying, order, in India we lack proper services in the government medical care, so that's the need of the hour. The target of the scheme is to increase the total number of seats into 3 times more by 28 and 2029. Okay, and the government is ready to spend about rupees 15,034 crore being shared between center and the state. The aim is to meet the demand of medical need of the population, to skill our students in terms of global standards of medical health care. So that's what the government says. The government is also saying India currently has 808 medical colleges with about 1,23,700 MBBS seats. This will be increased further. Okay, and ultimately the aim is not only to improve primary but also reproductive, secondary, and tertiary healthcare. That's the article. Now, because I'm talking about this article, for your UPSC mains exam GS paper 2, vulnerable communities, GS paper 1, India's healthcare as a social problem, and GS paper 3, secondary tertiary healthcare, government healthcare. I want to quickly talk about a scheme by the government. Now, please remember the scheme. As I promised, I will also create a compiled PDF of the schemes, but still, I want you to remember the scheme. Don't forget the scheme, it's important. In India, under the National Health Policy, anyway, we are trying to improve the doctor patient ratio, we are trying to improve hospitalization services for the poor people, also to the people living in remote areas. But around 2006, the government had created a scheme that is known as Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana, Prime Minister Health Protection Scheme. Under the scheme, the objective is to improve the regional imbalance in healthcare, where the people in rural, hilly areas, villages, tribal areas have a poorer access to tertiary health. Tertiary health means, I have told multiple times, primary health is only consultation, checkup, vaccination. Secondary health, when you meet a specialist doctor. Tertiary health, when somebody has to be in the hospital. Hospitalization procedure, this is called inpatient care. So for tertiary procedures in India, a lot of people do not have access. One reason could be insurance also and high expenses also. So to improve that, India created the Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana, under which all India Institute of Medical Sciences are being expanded in areas that lack hospitals, to provide high quality hospitalization and medical education. For example, 22 more AIMS, that is All India Institute of Medical Sciences, were created inside the country under the Yojana. So do remember the main target of the Yojana. Now, one of the last articles, the government has agreed to rupees 70,000 crore rupees package for shipbuilding in India. In one of the articles in the Hindu recently, we discussed India contributes to less than 2% of global ship manufacturing. And yet we are trying to become a leader in the blue economy. Okay, India's Sagar Manthan policy, Sagar Mala initiative. Yes, India is trying to expand its footprint in the oceans. But at the same time, we are quite poor when it comes to shipbuilding. So therefore, the government has given a huge amount of money to improve the shipbuilding sector in India. The purpose will be to improve and rebuild the maritime sector of India. It will also create lots of jobs. As shipbuilding industry picks up, more jobs will be created. More foreign direct investment will be attracted within the country. And at the same time, India is also now trying to promote new greenfield shipbuilding yards. At the same time, upgrade existing brownfield shipbuilding yards. I hope you understand greenfield and brownfield. Greenfield is when you make something new from scratch. Brownfield is when you expand the capacity of existing setup. So India is doing both greenfield shipbuilding yards and existing expansion of brownfield shipbuilding yards. We are also trying to create a national shipbuilding mission. This will create about 30 lakh jobs in India and attract investment of 4.5 lakh crore in the maritime sector. So please remember the scheme. Yes, India is totally about Atmanirbhar, Sagar Mala, Sagar scheme, as well as Bharat Mala. Very well said, order. The last article today is talking about whatever is going on in Ladakh. Already several people have died. A protest that was all about giving more autonomy to the Ladakh Hill Council and to give statehood to Ladakh has today turned so violent that many people are already losing their lives. That's a complaint that's coming. And the protesters are now being blamed for having vandalized and killed many people. So, why is everything happening here? We know it's been ongoing for the last 1 or 2 months. Leh, that's the capital of the Union Territory of Ladakh, is on a very strategic location that's on the border with China. And the people here have been protesting for two things. One, they want statehood for Ladakh. Because when a union territory becomes a state, it gets more powers to legislate upon the state list under 7th schedule. Something similar has been happening in the case of the National Capital Territory of Delhi since 1991. Various governments in Delhi have been asking for creating Delhi into a complete state so that more powers can be given in the form of a legislative assembly that the current setup doesn't have. Similarly, even in Ladakh, they do not want a union territory status. They want to ask for a statehood status. Plus, they also want that immediately the Ladakh Hilly Council should be given more powers, should be given more powers of autonomic district council under the 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution. These are the demands. Because of that, hunger strike was being done by a leading climate activist, Mr. Sonam Wangchuk. It's been going on since September onwards, even before that, and the demand is that immediately give us the statehood and identification under 6th schedule. But suddenly the mob has become quite violent. 60 security personnel have been killed. Many casualties are being reported. Because Ladakh is on a border to China and Pakistan, the government is worried it could also turn into a critical security issue. So let's see what comes out of that. But do remember the key demands: statehood, which is almost like the separatism that India has been having since 1956, the linguistic movement for states. And the second is about getting identified under the 6th schedule. 6th schedule of Indian Constitution, which deals with giving special powers of autonomous district council to the tribes of certain specific states, including Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. Okay, that's the 6th schedule. Very good. Very good. Well summarized, Dipesh. Now the last article, front page article, page 1. High Court has rejected, Karnataka High Court has rejected a demand made by X company, that was the previous Twitter. A demand that was made which said that we are being forced to take down so much content from our application. We do not want to take so much content out of our site. But the High Court of Karnataka has said under the Information Technology Act, you have to remove the content that we have pointed out to from your application. Why do you have to remove that? Because we will not allow any content that indignates Indian women or that leads to a question of communalism in India. So today the High Court of Karnataka has rejected the application and petition by the company X that was previously the Twitter. And the government is saying, the High Court is saying the content that Twitter was hosting in form of a microblog was actually bad because it came under violence against women. It was indignating and offensive to the Indian women's dignity. So therefore, Section 79 of the Information Technology Act 2000 has a very important clause that you should know for GS Paper 3 Science and Technology. It's called the Safe Harbor Clause. Under this clause, the government tells various social media platforms, intermediaries, that it is not your mistake if a writer, influencer or blogger is putting a bad content on your platform. Any influencer can put any content. That is not the mistake of these social media platforms. But Once the government asks them to remove that immediately, if they are able to remove it, then they will get protection under the safety harbor protection of the Section 79 Information Technology IT Act 2000. If you immediately remove that volatile content, say within 24 hours, then you are safe. The government will not take any action against you because you have not done anything wrong. You are just a media platform. So therefore, we are providing you Section 79 protection, safe harbor. But if you refuse to remove that content immediately, if you do not act on time and you continue to host that content, then you will be held liable and then damages will be issued against you. So that's the protocol here. Because IT rules 2021, once they were amended, they also said that social media platforms intermediaries have to remove offensive, illegal, and sensitive content immediately. They will also have to take up some grievance redressal mechanisms in case they are unable to act quickly under the safe harbor protocol. So once again, it is a debate about the same thing. Article 19(1)(a), the right to free speech and expression. Social media platforms and influencers feel we have a right to say what we want to say. We can also criticize anybody because that is the right to free speech and expression under Article 19(1)(a). But once again, the Supreme Court and the High Courts keep on reminding them that, okay, you have the right to free speech, but it doesn't mean that you host, create, or flag any content that is against India's security, morality, public order, or against the dignity of women, or anybody for that matter. So, therefore, once again, it is a debate about reasonable restrictions under Article 19, subclause 2, because no speech freedom, no freedom of speech is absolute in India. It has to respect certain moral considerations. So, now the last question before I take your leave. Consider the following statements regarding regulation of social media platforms in India. 1. Section 79 of the IT Act 2000 provides the safe harbor protection to intermediaries. That means you will be exempted from any fault, any accusation or liability from a content that's posted by a third party, influencer, actor, anybody, provided you follow the guidelines and immediately remove a content that is unlawful, safe harbor. 2. The IT Act 2021 makes it compulsory for significant social media intermediaries with more than 5 million users to trace the originator of the information and report them to the government if they are unlawful. And 3, under the IT rules 2021, social media platforms cannot be punished, they cannot be penalized for failing to remove the content, even if it violates or offends morality as per Section 79 of IT Act, because this provides absolute immunity to them. It's an easy question if you ask me, not a tough one. It's an easy question. The last one and the first one is very easy. Second statement perhaps could be a little tricky there. So anybody wants to answer the question? Yes, my dear. Order Ramu, Dipesh, Ria, Alan, anybody? Rishi? Would anybody want to answer the question? Prakash? Saurav? Okay. Okay, yeah. It's something we need to think about. So let's put it this way. Third statement is totally wrong. Yes, because Section 79 of the IT Act is the safe harbor. It doesn't give absolute immunity. It punishes. It punishes if you fail to remove the content once ordered by the court. So it is not giving complete immunity. So third cannot be correct. Absolutely not. The first, yes, the first is valid because it is dealing with the safety use, the safe harbor clause. And now you are about the second one. So which do you think are correct? Third is absolutely wrong. So obviously A will be the valid answer. 1 and 2 are correct. Absolutely, Dipesh. Absolutely. Absolutely, Dipesh. Well answered. Brilliant. Yes, Saurabh. Yes, Ramu. Yes, Mr. SM. Absolutely well answered. Okay, well done there. Yes, yeah, that's correct. So now I'll take your leave. Thank you so much once again for the beautiful interactive and participative session. And also, somebody just asked me this question. I think Alan asked me a question that what about the PDF? So, my dear, as I said, PDFs are all available now. Go to the description box. Okay. And go there. Look at the link which says the Hindu and type the link Inside the link, you will find StudyIQ English folder. Go there, you will see all the Hindu PDFs right from September 1 to yesterday. The one that we did today, I will upload soon. Yes, Ramu, there's a question. Okay, okay, fine, absolutely. I agree, Ramu. That's a well thing. That's a good suggestion. With regards to the Supreme Court judgment compilation, let's do a compilation and let's spend 5 minutes to talk about the document. Okay, on a monthly basis. Absolutely, I agree. If that works for you, I would love to do that. I'll do that for you. Okay, so we start the class at 9:30 a.m. every day, and my agenda is to bring you all important articles from the Hindu so that you don't have to go back and read the newspaper. But not just the articles, we also discuss various controversies from the perspective of the mains exam. Okay, sure, Dipesh. Sure, absolutely. If you want an answer writing session, I think a better thing to do would be to flag the concern to the backend team. Of course, I know it now. I will speak to the team, and yes, we will arrange an answer writing class also. Anything that benefits you, I will provide. Everything. Thank you so much, my dear, for the lovely participation. Everybody, have a great day. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow for the Hindu